Capitol Drive Early Voting Center. We are here on the corner of Capitol and 60th Street, just across the street from the Midtown Center where our old early voting location was. I don't think I have to remind anyone, but this is the busiest early voting center in the Midwest, so not just the state. And when we learned last year that we were in jeopardy of losing our old early voting spot on the north side, we really began to brainstorm and work really hard with our community partners to make sure that Milwaukee voters on the north side did not lose their voice and did not lose a convenient option for voting. Over here I have the cost of voting index in Wisconsin. Wisconsin in 1996 was 4th in the country for the ease of voting. A mere less than 25 years later, Wisconsin is 47th in the country for the ease of voting. We are at the very bottom for how hard it is to vote and how very confusing, even if it's not necessarily hard to some people, it's extremely confusing given the over 60 law changes we have had in the past decade to our voting laws. So it was extremely important to us that we make voting as easy and as visible as possible in the city of Milwaukee. As the rest of the state has celebrated record high voter turnout over the past 2 general elections, as you can see in this other graph, the city of Milwaukee is at the largest gap in voter turnout in the history of our state compared to the state voter turnout. We now lag 16 points behind the rest of the state. Milwaukee is one of the largest revenue generators for the state. We are the home of major sports teams, the home of cultural events, and the most diverse population. So it's extremely important to the city of Milwaukee and to all of the community groups here that Milwaukee voters know that we are going to continue to advocate for their voice to be heard in all elections. So we are here today to encourage all voters to vote in every election, not just in November, but we're hoping that you can make it a habit by November to ensure that your voice is heard in every single election. Gathered here today, we're about to have 8 different speakers from different community organizations who were essential to advocating for the city to fund this site that we are standing in front of. We plan to continue to be here all year and all of 2025 so that voters on the north side have a consistent place to vote early. And we're hoping that they'll find that this site is more convenient than our former location and just as easy to get to. Our first speaker is going to be Reverend Fuller from Souls to the Polls.
I would just like to say good morning to everyone, and I'm Pastor Mose Fuller. I'm the pastor of St. Timothy Baptist Church and also first vice president of Pastors United and work with Souls to the Polls. Now, we used to vote over here at Midtown, but we moved over here. Well, it really doesn't matter. The most important thing is for everybody to realize is that we must vote. You know, I tell my congregation every Sunday, I say, you know, I can't tell you who to vote for, but I can tell you that we need to vote. Absolutely. The most important thing that we have, you don't have a lot of money, don't have a lot of status, you don't have a lot of position in the community. The one thing that you have that can make all the difference is your vote. And you got one. In these elections, every election is important. I mean, every election is important. Every election is important, but then there comes a time when some elections are more consequential than others. And this is one of them. So, just get out there and vote. If I could speak to the world right now, that's what I would tell them. Anybody that's concerned about conditions, about where they are as a people, about where they are, or whatever they're going through, the thing that they can do to rise or to lift themselves from that position where they might be thinking about themselves as being nothing is that you have the power to make a difference in this community, in this city, in this state, in this nation, in the world is your vote. You fail a vote, you throw away everything. You give up everything. You neutralize yourself. You take yourself out of the game, out of the fight. You become a non-issue. And then people run over you, they talk, they walk over you, they talk about. So as a close, I would just like to say the most important thing we can do, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, is that we can get out here and vote. And early voting starts today. Isn't that right? Yes, sir. Guess what I'm going to do when I get through talking when this thing is over? I'm going to go right in here and vote. Right. And the best way to vote, and this is in my opinion, is to early vote. Yeah. Get out there and vote and make a difference. God bless. Who's next?
Hi. Hello. My name's Corinne Rosen, and I'm the state director with the Wisconsin Working Families Party. We champion, Wisconsin Working Families Power. That's our other side. We champion the multiracial working class. The working class is a vibrant, diverse, and resilient group of folks. But right now, people are feeling very hopeless. People don't, the gas is too high, they can't get quality housing, and the media is telling people, stay home, don't do anything. We're telling people, show up today, vote. We're here today to celebrate the opening of this early vote center. This early vote center allows you to come vote on your break. It allows you, if you've got 2 jobs, you can still show up and vote. If you have a parent or a family member or a friend who is disabled, you can take them to vote early. I spent a lot of time taking my mom to vote early over at the old voting center, and I will be taking her to vote early here. We want to make sure our voices are heard. Yep. At the Working Families Power, we have a radical belief that working people can lead, and we can lead. We can get elected, but we need people to show up and vote. So please, give voice to the issues that matter to you, your families. Give voices to fair wages, to affordable housing, to good health care, to keeping lead out of our children, and show up and vote. Every time you cast a ballot, it is a declaration that you are standing up for yourself and your community. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Patty Young, and I represent the League of Progressive Seniors. Over the last several years, we have had a number of challenges to our democracy. But today we celebrate the fact that we recognize that our democracy relies on easy, convenient, and adequate voting sites for all people. As seniors, we recognize the fact that many of us don't have the same ability to go to the polls as we did when we were younger. That's why it's so critical and it's so important that we have early voting sites that can accommodate us not only in terms of parking needs, but in terms of facilities. So I celebrate the City of Milwaukee for what they have done today, and on behalf of the League of Progressive Seniors, we say congratulations to all the people who will now be able to vote. And in the ending of my points, I'd like to say we all need to exercise our right to vote in order to maintain this democracy, which a lot of people, including a lot of seniors, have died for, to make sure that they can continue this vote. So thank you very much for coming today.
Morning. My name is Pepe Houlihan, and I'm here from the Poor People's Campaign. Hopefully you've heard of that. And I just want to say that the reason we're here is because we recognize things. First and foremost, we recognize that poverty is the 4th leading cause of death in our nation. Reverend Barber was on TV this morning before I came, and I saw him say that close to 250,000 people die every year in this nation from poverty. And we recognize that that is unacceptable. We recognize that the only way to change things is by speaking out, making sure your voices are heard. And we recognize that means organizing, that means mobilizing, and that means voting.
Yeah, voting.
And we recognize what happened here. We recognize how this community refused to be thrown to the side through the closing of the Midtown early voting location. We recognize that this community came together and demanded the creation of this location right here. And we recognize that this type of positive action can only be done when people work together. So we're very glad to be here to show our support for this new location and to say loud and clear to anyone who would consider shutting down the voices of our community that they need to recognize that we are here and we are just getting started. Thank you very much. Solidarity.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. My name is Gertrude, and I'm from Block. We're Black Leaders Organizing for Communities. What I'd like to say, first of all, is I'm happy to see everybody here, and we're celebrating this new voting, early voting place. Midtown was a very important site for hundreds of people, including our entire Block organization. We all would get together, all 60, 70 plus, as one, as unity, and we would vote together. When it closed, I felt some type of way. What did I feel? Voter suppression? Maybe. Okay. Now we have this new vote site, and we are very excited about it. This site is vital to our community, our democracy, and our vote. This site ensures no one is disenfranchised and no one is discouraged from voting, especially due to the close of Midtown across the street. Okay. We want to encourage everyone to early vote and make their voices heard in these up-and-coming elections. Early voting starts today. We have to have a sense of urgency at this point to get out here and talk to the community. We're a Block. We knock doors. That's what we do. And that's what we intend to do. And like I said, a sense of urgency. And that's how we're going to come out. We're going to come out with a sense of urgency because we know that we are suffering. And the only way that we're going to have a voice is that we cast our votes. Woo! Okay? And what I'd like to say also is that at this point, power is yours and your vote.
That's right.
Yes, but power is in numbers. And when we get together in our communities and we vote, that's how we make change.
That's right.
Vote.
Hi everyone. How are you guys doing? Good. Okay. My name is Cristabel Martinez, and I'm the Senior Civic Engagement Manager for Leaders Igniting Transformation. We know a strong, healthy, and thriving democracy is one that represents all of us. Early voting helps make that possible as it ensures all voters, regardless of race, background, or zip code, have an equal opportunity to make their voices heard. As a political home for Black and brown youth in Wisconsin, Leaders Igniting Transformation knows that young people are eager to participate in our democracy, and expanding early voting opportunities significantly increases youth turnout. In fact, in 2020, over 6 million young people voted early compared to roughly 2 million in 2016. Young voters in Wisconsin have shown that they have the power to influence the outcomes of elections at the federal, state, and local levels. We want to thank the Milwaukee Common Council for securing this new early voting site, which will serve thousands of Milwaukee voters. This is a necessary step, but more must be done. LIT's members across the state are pushing and adding poll locations on college campuses and expand early voting hours and locations, recruit multilingual poll workers, and hold our local elections officials accountable for addressing voter suppression. We hope you will join us to create a democracy that is truly representative of all of us. Thank you.
So thank you again for joining us. Just in closing, there are 6 early voting locations in the city of Milwaukee that open today. There is Capitol Drive Voting Center, Zeidler Municipal Building, and Zablocki Library that are open weekdays from 9 to 5, Saturday and this Sunday from 10 to 2. And then we have 3 neighborhood libraries, Good Hope, Washington Park, and Tippecanoe, which are open on weekdays 12 to 5 and on Saturdays from 10 to 2. So for the next 11 days, there is absolutely no excuse not to find time to go use your voice and vote. I'm happy to answer any technical early voting questions. And again, another round of applause for the opening of Capitol Drive Early Voting Center.
Could you take one? Could you take one for me? Okay.